Hi, in this video we're going to look at how to divide decimals with decimals. Alright, so let's take an example. 2.46 divided by 0.3. 2.46 divided by 0.3. We're going to use the long division method. Okay, so this will be 2.46 in here, and then we have 0.3 in here. Okay, dividing this way won't be easy except remove the decimal points, which is what we're going to do. We need the divisor to be a whole number, not a decimal. So we're going to move the decimal point of the divisor until the divisor becomes a whole number. Our divisor here is 0.3. This is our dividend, 2.46. This is our divisor, 0.3. And our quotient is our answer. So to move the decimal point of the divisor, we only need to move the decimal point to the right once to make it a whole number. And whatever we do to the divisor, in the number of times we move the decimal point of the divisor is the number of times we're going to move the decimal point in the dividend. So let's do that now. Rearranging this will give us, moving this right here will give us 3, 0, 3, that's 3, 3.0. And then moving this right here, the number of times we move the decimal point in the divisor to make it a whole number is the number of times we're going to move the decimal point in the dividend before we work it out. So this will be 24.6, and we can now go ahead and divide using the process we learned in dividing with whole numbers, dividing decimals with whole numbers. So how many 3's can you find in 24? That's 8. 8 times 3, 24. You subtract. You have your 0 here. You bring this down, put your decimal point, and 6. As soon as you put your decimal point here, you put it right here in the quotient 2. How many sets of 3's can you find in 6? That's 2. So 0.2 times 3 will give you 0.6. And then you subtract, you have your 0, 0. And this is actually your answer, 8.2. Your quotient. Now you might be saying, no, wait a minute. 8.2 is the answer to 24.6 divided by 3, not 2.46 divided by 0.3. Let's check it out. Let's multiply 8.2 with 0.3 and see if we're going to get 2.46. So let's check it out. Okay, so 8.2 times 0.3. Remember how to multiply decimals? You check out how many digits after the decimal point for each decimal. This is 1, this is 1. You sum it up, so that's 2 digits. You keep that somewhere, and then you just multiply straight up like whole numbers. Okay, so this is 6, this is 24. Now you add your decimal points, 2 digits. Your decimal point in your answer, your product should have 2 digits after it. So you count from the right backwards. 1, 2. So this is where your decimal point should be. And you see this right here is the same thing as the dividend right here. Okay, so this shows you that 2.46 divided by 0.3 is actually 8.2. So when you move the decimal point the same number of times in the divisor and the dividend, you'll get the same quotient. Okay? All right, let's see if we can have one more example. So one more example. Let's try 28. Now this is actually a whole number. 28 divided by 0.02. We'll use the same process. We'll follow the same process. So if we write this in the long division form, that will be 28, your dividend in here, and then 0.02 right here. Remember, our divisor has to be in form of a whole number, so we need to move the decimal point forward twice to have it as a whole number. The number of times you move the decimal point here is the number of times you're going to move the decimal point in your dividend. Now this is actually a whole number. We need to rewrite it as a decimal to follow that process. So this is the same thing as 28.0. You can add as many zeros as you want. It's still 28. So how many times did you move the decimal point? Twice. You do the same thing here. You move it twice. 1, 2. So that would be 28,000 now. This is your new decimal point, or 2,800, sorry. So rewriting this would become 2,800 when our decimal point is now here, and then right here we have 2. So you can go ahead and divide. How many 2's will you find in 2? 1. 1 times 2, 2. Okay, this is 0. You bring down the rest, 800. How many 2's will you find in 8? 4. 4 times 2, 8. You subtract it. So you have, okay, let's do it this way so as not to get confused. How many 2's will you find in, let's go back a bit. How many 2's will you find in 800 this time around, so we don't get confused? 800. How many 2's in 800? That's 400. Okay, 2 in 8, 4. 2 in 0, 0, 0, 0. So we can now multiply 400 by 2. That will give you 800. Okay, and then we can just, everything gives us 0. And then this is our quotient. So our answer right here is 1,400. If you want to confirm, all you need to do is multiply 1,400 by 0.02. So you can check that out right here. 1,400 times 0.02. Now there is no decimal point here. It is a whole number, but we have a decimal point here. So how many digits after the decimal point? 2 digits. You put that somewhere here, 2 digits. You keep that, and then you take out the decimal point and everything around it to have your whole number. So that'll be 1,400 times 2. This would give you 2,800. And then remember, your decimal point needs to have 2 digits after it, so you count backwards. You count from the right backwards. 1, 2, you put your decimal point here. This is 28.00, which is the same thing as 28, which is what we have here. So it's as simple as that. With this, we've come to the end of how to divide with decimals. Till we meet in the next video, keep on being the best version of who you are. The world needs that part of you. Bye for now.